Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm back after the Christmas and New Year's break that took a little bit longer than I expected, mainly because I had to move in. I wanted to move in with my girlfriend, and uh, you know, moving to another place takes a considerable amount of time. But I'm back. And this series is gonna be about using the canvas and using it with React and TypeScript. The aim here is to learn enough of how to use the canvas to end up um, building a simple game. Maybe we'll create tic-tac-toe, maybe we'll create a snake game. We'll see in the end. As you can see on the screen, what I have opened right now is the very standard React app. Bump this up a little bit. React app with the template that is using TypeScript. So this is like what you get out of the box. Just to remind you, the command to create that is npx create React app. Then you provide a template flag with the TypeScript, and then you just give the name of the project that you'd like to build. So Canvas in web technology, what it is, basically, as the name suggests, it's a blank space for you to use some interfaces provided by the web to do drawing and animations. And as you probably know, you can kind of already draw with CSS, and often people create wonderful and beautiful art with CSS, but the interfaces provided by Canvas are different and are often used in web apps, like, for example, if you go to the Pixlr, right, you will definitely see that they are using stuff like Canvas to draw stuff. So basically, anytime you have to do some kind of graphic manipulation or some kind of graphic overlay, you will use the Canvas. Also, there's this stuff called do that 2D game engine phaser, yeah, that also uses the Canvas and WebGL to create really complex and wonderful games. So this can be also an introduction for any of you that would like to dive deeper into creating the more professional games in web environment. So let's get going. As you can see, I cleared everything from our app, so we're starting blank. And I'm going to start by creating new component, and I will simply call it canvas tsx. So that's going to be the place where we have our integration between the canvas and React. Let's just create that. And unsurprisingly, we'll return canvas here. Right, so this is like the native HTML element that is representing the canvas. Let's export default from here. Okay, and let's use it. Let's simply use it here and see what we can get on our screen. Let's get rid of unused things, and you will see nothing. But if you go to the body, you will see the canvas. And one interesting thing, the canvas already starts with some predefined dimensions. As you can see, this is 300 in width and 150 in height. But still, there's well, nothing there since we're not drawing onto our canvas and we're not doing anything with it. So basically, to have option to manipulate it and have some reference to the native HTML element, we're gonna use a ref. So we're gonna create canvas ref, and we'll use ref hook, of course, to create the reference. We'll start with null, right? Because that's basically how you start. We don't have any value here, but we can pass it right here. And here comes the first issue, which is created by TypeScript. Well, maybe actually not issue, but some kind of help or tip. The type does not match, right? The TypeScript is trying to infer the type, and for that inference process, it takes the value of ref as a null. We know very well that it is starting as a null, but after the first render, oh sorry, we shouldn't do that here. We should do this here. My bad. Should be, of course, here where we have the native element. Let's get that here. Okay. So it is starting as a null, but after the first render, we can actually, it will be provided with the correct value of the HTML canvas element. So we have to be a little bit more precise when it comes to the typing. So it's canvas element or null. Okay, this is or for types, right? So this is going to be canvas element. For now, it is starting as a null, therefore we provide a null as a type, and then it is being changed after the first render to the HTML canvas element, and we need to import use ref. Okay, so that's that. Almost working. Okay. So now, of course, if I try to log this, the current value, which is being held by the reference is null. So we can obtain the value of the canvas after the first render. And we can do this by using use effect and setting it up to be fired once after the first render. It's basically like your old component did mount. Here we're passing empty array to make sure that our effect is only being run once after the initial render. Yeah, so let's try that again. I want to get access to the value inside of our reference. Therefore, I'm gonna take a look at the current property just to make the compiler happy, because here you can see this is either HTML canvas element or null. Just to make the compiler happy and TypeScript happy, I'm gonna check for the canvas, and if it's null, just return. And here, right here, if I'll write canvas, this is gonna be then the HTML canvas element, because we covered the null case right here. Okay, so let's actually try and draw something onto the screen. And I'll try to cover different drawing techniques or animation techniques that are available for the canvas, like step by step. So this series will probably grow into few videos because I don't tend to squash everything into 2 or 3 hours video. But if you prefer that formula, just let me know. Okay, so to do any drawing, we do get context, and this is get context, and here we're passing 2D and some kind of options that are not really important right now. And this is, as you can see, canvas rendering context 2D or null, because since the canvas can be null, the context might not be ready at this time. We know that it is because of our effect, but this is something we should also take into an account. So let's handle this the same way. As you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm doing the early returns if. I believe that makes the code way more readable than simply doing nested ifs. I hate nested ifs very, very much. Okay, and let's trying something. So let's see. There should be something about fill rect, and that should create. Okay, let's try rect for starters. Okay, and I will try to render it at 0, 0, let's say 100, 100, and let's see what happens then. And there's nothing. And this is because to actually have something on the screen, we should probably set up something like field style. Field style. And this is to give our canvas ID which color should be used to draw stuff on the screen. Okay, so let's try blue. Okay. So nothing. Let's try fill rect. Okay, we have something. So fill rect is creating the rectangle that has its inside filled with the color we specified. The rect itself, not that, I hate this rect, or stroke rect. Okay, you have the rect and then you have to call fill. I'd rather just do the fill rect. Okay. And there's the stroke rect, which would create, okay, we can do that. We can then create stroke rect, okay, and set it to, I don't know, 100, 100, 50, 50. Try this. Okay, and this is first important thing you have to know about canvas and drawing, and later making games. We have a canvas that has size 300 by 150, and we are drawing by specifying 4 values: x, y, w, and h, which stands for width and height. And these are the top left corners coordinates for our rectangle, and then of course the width and the height. I could change this to something else, right? Let's just change that. So one important thing you have to be aware of is the size of your canvas and the coordinate system in which you're drawing. And what I mean by that is, oops, how do you, Pen, blue pen, yes, please. How do you... Okay, so the whiteboard is not working really well. Thankfully, I have Krita. So again, if we have a canvas, the coordinate system is set up like that. This is y-axis, this is x-axis, and of course here is 0, 0 point, right? So you must be aware of the dimensions of your canvas. This is the canvas itself, because you won't know where you're drawing your stuff, and also whether you're overflowing it. For example, if this is then a 300 by 150, and you start drawing, for example, right here, and try to make a rectangle that extends over the canvas, that part will be clipped off and you will not see it on your canvas because, well, it's out of bounds, right? And this is happening in our example. We're drawing out of bounds. So you need to be sure to calculate your sizes and places, the coordinates in which you draw properly. This is kind of good. We have our first thing on the screen, but what I would like to do is actually draw some kind of simple art that will help us get accustomed to the canvas. So I'm gonna change a few things here. First thing is I'm gonna create type, and I'm gonna create this as canvas props. And I would like to make sure that I can pass any attribute that fits the canvas into that component. Therefore, I'm going to specify this as React detailed HTML props. And now React canvas HTML attributes of HTML canvas element and HTML canvas element. This cryptic type actually means that I can, if I specify it here, it's React FC canvas props. Now I can pass any kind of attribute that is fitting the canvas. For example, let's say I can specify width here, and this is gonna come from props width, right? So any attribute that fits the canvas can be now passed as a prop to that component, which is cool. And for example, yeah, let's change the width to be a window inner width, and the height something like 400 should be good. And let's see. Oh, okay, I have the width, but I'm not using the canvas here. So let's fix that real quick. Props height. Okay, now we can see that it has proper attributes and it renders properly. Okay, but I would like to have a little bit more control about what we're drawing here. So I'm gonna add another prop here, and this is gonna be a draw function that you can pass to our component, sorry. So this is gonna be draw function, and it has to accept the context, which is canvas rendering context 2D, and well, it will return void. So I'm gonna get draw function here, and then I'm going to use it, for example, here, draw of context. Okay, so yeah, let's try that. Let's try it with something simple. This const, let's call it draw art, because well, we're gonna create some wonderful art here. And for now, I'm gonna pass this here. I'm gonna say that this actually accepts context, and this is here it is, canvas rendering context 2D. And let's just pass it here. Draw is draw art function. And it seems there's some kind of problem with our type definition. Yes, because this has to be wrapped in the parentheses, into the parentheses. Okay, we should be good. No issues found. And let's see. Okay, it does render. Okay, but now, if we take a look at this, our effect is using something from outside of its bounds, right? Here is our function that is being called, and it is using the draw function passed as a prop. Therefore, we should change our dependencies array to include that and recall that every time we change the draw function. Okay, here it is, and it is working rather nicely. So yeah, what I'd like to do right now is maybe I'm gonna create another canvas. So give me a second here. And we'll have two. The one at the bottom is going to be our actual art. The second one at the top we'll use to present some kind of examples. So draw, let's say const draw example. For the time being, we'll draw nothing. Let's add the width here. Let's add the height, and just to make sure we can distinguish both of these, let's add this here. I'm going to say something like h1 example, and I'm going to say h1 art. That sounds cool. Okay, and now this is rendering same thing twice, but that's expected, and we'll figure this one later. Okay, so when it comes to drawing here, and when it comes to field style, you can basically specify any kind of color describing CSS rule that works with CSS. It will also work with field style. So for example, I can go with something like RGBA, and specify the values here, and of course the transparency value or the opacity value. Okay, and then say context fill rect. It's going to be, let's say 20, 20, 100, 120. And here we have our semi-transparent rectangle. Or the other way to specify the color here, for our example, is going to be fill style, and you can provide it as a hex value, so 00FF003B. Okay, and then context fill rect, say 90, 95. Okay, and this is rather important because as you can see, the code is being executed from top to bottom, and the latest drawing is being drawn on top of the previous one. From here you can tell that our green, let's just get rid of the transparency value maybe. Here you can see that the latest drawing is being drawn on top of the previous one. So this is important when it comes to the layers that you create in your art. Of course, you can change that, but we'll get to that in the next episode probably. You can change how the drawings that overlap each other, how it is decided how to mix those and which should be on top of another. Okay, so for our art, I'm gonna try and create something simple. What we'll try to create is a simple drawing that you may see a child draw. So it's gonna be some kind of green grass, a blue sky, a home, maybe a few flowers, the moon, the sun, and the stars. So like you draw in kindergarten when someone would like to ask you to draw your house. So yeah, let's do just that. Let's start by creating the sky. So I'm gonna start by saying the context fill style should be blue, and here comes a little bit of calculations that we'd like to fill rect to do. So definitely the sky should start in 0, 0, so that's the top left, and it should extend to the whole width of the screen, and then it should take let's say a half of our canvas height. So I'm going to create a const here called base canvas height and set it to 400, and I'm going to say let's take a half of that, and I'm also going to pass that here and here, and we're missing a comma. Okay, so here's our art, and we have ourselves a sky. So I'm just going to print that sky, and then I'm going to move to the grass. So I'm going to take some color, some green color that is night and grassy enough. 72 dB1B looks like our color. And then go with the context fill style. Again, I have to start at the start of the x-axis, but then move half a height of canvas on the y-axis. Okay, because I want our grass not to overlap the sky. I want it to start here. So this is x0 because we're not moving in that axis, but half a height of the y. axis, y-axis. So that's gonna be base canvas height, half of that, then the window inner width, and the base canvas height, and that's the height of rectangle, and divide by 2. And this is of course fill rect. And we have ourselves our wonderful grass. Okay, now that was rather easy. Now we have to figure out our house base, so the main rectangle, main square representing the base of our house. So let's give it some brown color. So the fill style is just something like 5A3505. Let's define the house size. So the house size, I'm going to set to 85. Okay, and so to draw the base of our house, well, we have to find the middle point, right? Because we'd like our house to be in the middle, as it's the most important thing, and then find the top left corner of the rectangle representing our house. Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit tricky, but bear with me. I'm gonna find the center point first, and I'm gonna say center point, right? It's gonna have X, and this is going to be window inner width times 2, divided by 2, and then Y is gonna be base canvas height divided by 2. Okay, using that, I can find the left top point of our house base. Let's say house base left top, right? The X value is going to be the center point, X minus house size, and the Y is going to be center point Y minus house size. Okay, and with this we can get going. So the context fill rect is gonna be position is house base left top X. The Y is house Y, and then we're gonna do actually house size times 2, and you're gonna see Y in a second here. Okay, and here it is, right? So let me tell you, this is the middle point, of course. This is the top left, and the house size is like a half, so it should be actually named half house size, right? This is like 85, and we make it times 2 just to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, moving on. The next thing I would like to draw, so this is grass and this is house base. The next thing I would like to draw is the house door. So let's say doors. Okay, so let's specify the door dimensions. So door dimensions, and that's gonna be like width is the first. Width is gonna be like 15, and the height is gonna be 75. let's choose a color. So I'm going to do context, fill style, and let's make it orange actually. Okay, and now we can do the drawing. So again, context, fill rectangle, and now we have the center point X, and I'm going to offset this a little bit to the left. Then we have the base canvas height equals 2, and then we have their dimensions width, their dimensions height, and in the end that should give us a very nice looking door. Okay, and I'm very satisfied with it. And now windows. We're gonna draw some windows. So windows, okay, have context, fill style. Let's do bluish color, something like light blue. And let's just specify window size. So basically you can take that out because you don't need it. There you don't have to recreate it every time for that function. So that's their dimensions. Okay, let's do this and whoops, not like that. Okay, that's your micro optimization right here, because now this const is not being created every time draw art is being created. Okay, we need also doors that are going to be square, so I'm going to just do const door, door window size, and let's make it 14. Okay, so now we can just do the fill rect, and we'll have to offset those a little bit to yeah, I know there's an error. I want to offset those because I want them like right here and maybe right here, right? So I have to move the starting point for our rectangle first to the left for the first window and then to the right for the second window. So let's do like this: center point X minus 70 and center point Y minus 50, and then window size, and again window size. Okay, should be first window, and that looks pretty good. Maybe we can bring it a little bit higher. Same, a little bit higher would be minus 60 actually. Okay, that's fine. And then let's copy this, and we're gonna give it we're gonna change the x-axis to make it appear on the other side. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for me. Okay, yeah, and I believe we should end here because it's already 40 minutes long, and we'll continue with our beautiful art and canvas and examples in the next episode. So I'll see you there. Goodbye. Comment, like, subscribe, and take care. Tell someone you love them. Bye.